Hello guys, my name is Noel and you are welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, please kindly subscribe, like and share this video. If you want to study in the European Union, Schengen areas and you want to study in a top university with affordable tuition fees, then this is the right place for you to visit. I have a lot of videos that you can watch, interesting videos that you might find very useful. Okay, so today I want to address one thing. If you want to study at the University of Luxembourg, it's important for you to understand what are the documents that you need for you to successfully make the application at the University of Luxembourg. One of those documents is the proof of English language skills or proof of language skills. It could be English, it could be German, it could be French. So you have to show that you have the relevant certificate or competence uh, in the language of the study you want to, of the program you want to study at the University of Luxembourg. There's a lot of people asking me questions if they need to provide proof of English language proficiency if they have studied previously in English language. And I've responded repeatedly on this topic, but still, some people still want some clarification. This is why I'm making this video to throw more light into this so that you know exactly what you should do if you want to study at the University of Luxembourg. Now, I have to go back to the university website to make sure I retrieve the information exactly the way it is at the University of Luxembourg web page. So I'm going to read most of this thing almost verbatim and I will emphasize where necessary. Now it says, all candidates must prove proficiency in the teaching languages of the chosen program at the University of Luxembourg. The language skills required for each program are listed on the dedicated program webpage. If you go to University of Luxembourg website, you're going to see all the language programs, all the language requirements for different programs. Okay. Now, candidates must prove their language skills in one or more of the following ways. I'm going to explain to you the ways you can prove your language skills. So, if you are trying to study a program taught in English, you have to prove your language skills in the English language. If it's in French, you have to prove that. If it's in German, you have to prove that. If it's in a combination of English and French, you have to prove each of them, right? Now, let's start with bachelor's degree programs. Now, for students with a secondary school diploma obtained outside Luxembourg or obtained in Luxembourg more than 5 years ago, these are the ways you can prove, okay, evidence of your language proficiency, okay, either English, French, or German, as the case may be. Now, you can show your secondary school high certificate from a school at which the main language of instruction was the same as the teaching language or languages of the selected program at the University of Luxembourg. I'm just reading verbatim from what I saw at the university website. I did this research again. I have to go back and check again. Even though I knew this before, I have to check again. Yesterday, that was 18th day of September 2025. Today is 19th day of September 2025. Like I said, one of the ways you can prove language proficiency is by showing that your secondary school high certificate was from a school at which the main language of instruction was the same as the teaching language or languages of the selected study program at the University of Luxembourg. Now, pay attention here, very, very important. For diplomas obtained outside of Luxembourg, the graduation date needs to be within the last 2 years at the moment of the candidate's application. If this condition is not fulfilled, the candidate must deliver a language certificate. For example, IELTS. So if, for example, you finish your high school within the last 2 years and the high school certificate that you have is still not more than 2 years at the time of your admission application, then that will be okay to show evidence of language proficiency, for example, in English. However, if it is more than 2 years, you have to now write, for example, the IELTS exam, which will not be more than 2 years anyway. So for the fact that you study in English language does not mean that you cannot provide proof, except it is less than 2 years. If it's more than 2 years, you have to still write IELTS to show evidence of English proficiency. Okay? And then if you go to the university webpage, you're going to see the acceptable language programs, which includes the language certificates accepted by the University of Luxembourg, includes educational testing services, ETS. So it could be TOEFL, IBT, internet-based test of English as a foreign language, TOEFL, TOEFL Essentials, or IS, International English Language Testing System, Cambridge English Qualifications, formerly known as ESO, right? A suite of English exams at different levels. B1 Preliminary, formerly known as Cambridge English Preliminary, PET, and so many others. Okay, if you go to University of Luxembourg webpage, you're gonna see the acceptable English language proficiency certificate. Now let's go to what you can use to prove evidence of your English language proficiency if you're applying for a master's degree program. Now, you can show, if you can show that your university bachelor's degree certificate or master's um, was obtained in a program in which the main language of instruction was the same as the teaching languages of the selected program at the University of Luxembourg, the same as bachelor. So if, for example, you studied in English language, you studied your first degree in English language as the main language of instruction, then that could be sufficient to use as a proof of English language proficiency, provided it is not more than 2 years old at the time of your application at the University of Luxembourg. Now, the graduation date of the diploma in question needs to be within the last 2 years at the moment of the candidate's application. If this condition is not fulfilled, the candidate must deliver a language certificate, which I've mentioned previously. So in summary, whether you're applying for bachelor's degree program at the University of Luxembourg or master's, if you studied previously in English language and it is not more than 2 years you obtain your certificate, that will be sufficient enough for you to show as evidence of English language proficiency. However, now this is a big however, if you obtain your certificate more than 2 years ago, then you can no longer use that as evidence. You have to now write English testing exam. It could be ESO, IES. If you go to University of Luxembourg website, you see the listed acceptable English language certificate as a proof of English language proficiency. I have to go back again to check this again because I saw a lot of videos online which I think are quite misleading. This is the stance of the University of Luxembourg. I did my research again, even though I knew I have to go and check and cross-check again, and I printed it out exactly from the University of Luxembourg webpage. And I read most of this directly from what I got from their website. So visit the University of Luxembourg website, you're gonna see the language requirements. Read it properly, follow what is follow what is outlined there, not what you just read somewhere or someone just told you something. You have to verify information. Even this my video, okay, you have to verify what people tell you online. Okay, don't just listen to something and then run with it. Okay, do your research. If you go to University of Luxembourg website, everything is there. I have to go back again to cross check and cross check and cross check. Now there is also some things I want you to note here. For students for whom two languages are the official administrative languages of the country and who have completed their entire education in one of these two languages. A language certificate is not required for the language that serves as the medium of instruction. An examination for obtaining the last diploma, if obtained again within the last 2 years. However, a language certificate will be necessary for the second language if it is also required for admission to any of our programs. For example, Canadian candidates from Quebec, having followed their studies in French, would require a language certificate for a master's degree program taught in English. That's what it means. A Cameroonian student, having followed their studies in English, would require a language certificate for a master's degree taught in French. That's what it means. So if you are in a country that you have two languages, if you fulfilled one, the other one you have to also fulfill it by writing the language certificate test for that second language, which is not your primary main language of instruction in your country. Okay? So, and pay attention, study programs may have specific prerequisites about language test certificates and minimum levels requirement. So for more information, please refer to the official web page for each study program. Okay? Candidates must submit their certificates before the deadline set by each program. No documents can be received after the deadline. So at the University of Luxembourg, all your documents must be uploaded on your application portal before the deadline. After that, it will not be acceptable anymore. So I think this is clear now that you need language proficiency evidence. As long as you want to be at the University of Luxembourg, you have to prove that except you have graduated from your last program within the last 2 years. The language that was used to teach that your last program is the same as the language you want to. Is the same. I'm gonna put it this way: if you finish with, if you obtain your degree in English language, for example, and the program you want to apply for is taught in English language, if that degree is not more than 2 years, you finish that degree, then that will be okay for that. However, if it's more than 2 years, you have to also write English language proficiency certificate exam. That's what it means. So this is clear now. So please make sure you start now. If you don't have the document you need for application at the University of Luxembourg, start now to look for that because admission will open again, I think from February 2025 until April 2020, sorry, February 2026 until April 2025 for non-EU applicants. I hope this is clear now for you to understand clearly the proof of language skills that you are expected to fulfill if you want to study at the University of Luxembourg, the prestigious University of Luxembourg. So guys, thank you for watching. Please like, share this video, and don't forget you have the power to bend reality and create your own future. I am the Man Investor. Thank you for watching and see you soon.